because his backstory was completely demolished to the point where that, once again, people did not care as much as they did before because they were confused. When you confuse the people that are trying to buy your product, chances are they will, like this gentleman that just wrote me, say, fuck it, I'm going to go and watch roller derby. Well, no, they can't do that because roller derby preceded wrestling by about 30 years and getting too far out and making mistakes, and they went out of business. Imagine that.
One of the questions from last week that one of the listeners had, we didn't get to do a show last week, but they want to know your thoughts on TNA releasing your good buddy Ed Ferrera.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I realize now that we haven't even spoken about that. I'm glad to know that Ed Ferrera was so important in the overall scheme of things that he lasted 9 whole months with the company before they deemed it. It wasn't even that he fucked up. It's just a budget cut. So he was so important for Russo to get him in there. Actually, Ferrara was the smokescreen. Nobody wanted Ed Ferrara. Vince Russo, I'm sure, didn't even want Ed Ferrara because what has Ed Ferrara ever done in a professional wrestling business? But Russo made the case that Ferrara was so important to come in and help him with his gigantic workload he's got on himself that they needed to get me out of the way. Well, I'm glad they got me out of the way. Me, who spent 3 years trying to make some sense and some semblance of something out of that pablum and pap that Russo foisted off on people every week, trying to protect their business, trying to protect their talent from the influence of Vince Russo. And it was so important to get me out of the way so I couldn't do that job that they brought in the great and powerful and glorious Ed Ferrara, who lasted 9 months of complete indifference and complete anonymity and then was fired due to budget cuts. Budget cuts apparently that have been instituted because they realized they spent too much fucking money on a bunch of goddamn assholes that are con men and over-the-hill fucking talent to cause their ratings to drop and their pay-per-view buys to drop and their morale to drop. So I'm glad to know that once again Dixie Carter, the astute businesswoman that she is making the correct choices constantly.
Were you a fan of Duckman, Jimmy?
Oh, what? Duckman. Yeah, maybe you can go back and write Duckman. Oh, that got canceled too. Have you noticed that everything that Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara have to do with somehow plummets down the porcelain throne quicker than a turd in a punch bowl? Have you noticed that?
Oh, man. Next question this week here on Cornette's Commentary. Listener, first off, says, thank you, Jimmy, so much for providing me with weekly entertainment. I look forward to tuning in each and every week to hear your thoughts and opinions on things going on in the world of professional wrestling. And his question is, even though he knows you don't watch WWE programming, you do still follow things that are going on in the business. They want to know your thoughts on The Miz in the WWE. And actually, this past Sunday, he just won their Money in the Bank pay-per-view match. I want to know your thoughts on him as a performer, and do you think he has what it takes to be a top guy in the wrestling business one day?
Well, I have seen some of The Miz. I have seen. I don't watch every week, but over the period of time, I've seen some of The Miz. I think I've met The Miz once. We don't have a personal relationship. I'm not trying to knock the guy, but I don't fucking get it. I think he's basically a reality show guy. That's how he got in the business, wasn't it? He was on these reality shows.
Yeah.
I think he's one of these guys that wanted to get in professional wrestling so that he could become a TV star and do reality shows and blah blah blah. And everybody says, "Oh, he's a great promo." I don't get that. I don't believe the guy. I don't think he is. I believe he's an asshole because I've heard that, but I don't believe the guy when he speaks. I think it's stagey. I think he's trying to be an actor, and I don't think he physically looks the part. I don't think that he is. I don't think he's a professional wrestler. I think he's a sports entertainer, and that's probably the nastiest thing I can say about anybody.
All right, next question.
But I will say, he was partners with John Morrison for quite a while, which brings me actually to my next letter. I got to pop another letter in here from fans, from a fan named Taylor, because this actually, Tommy, you played right in my hands here without even realizing it.
All right.
Taylor says he's recently discovered Cornette's commentary and have loved them, and he's also gone back to some of the old shows on YouTube and blah, 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 and my You Shoot DVDs, and he talks about the stories I've told about Kevin Dunn. He says, this guy sounds like a complete fucking moron. Kevin Dunn, the big-time executive producer of WWE television. This guy sounds like a complete fucking moron. Even more proof, I was watching my old wrestling tapes I've recorded through the years, happened to pop in Tough Enough 2. Kevin fucking Dunn was watching John Hennigan, a.k.a. John Morrison, trying out for the show. He made the top 25, but every step of the way they showed that little bastard Kevin Dunn saying, oh, this guy's not a star, I can't see any potential in him, or all this guy is a gymnast, he can't wrestle, this guy doesn't impress me. And Taylor says, well, fuck, I wanted to reach my hand through my TV on a VHS tape from years ago and slap the piss out of that little fool. Long story short, Morrison got cut. 1 year later he comes back, wins the fucking show, and I will put in parentheses, goes on to train at Ohio Valley Wrestling under Jim Cornette and Danny Davis, and now is one of WWE's only successful Tough Enough winners and most popular stars right now. So from Taylor, a big fuck you for Kevin Dunn. Thank you, Taylor, for writing in with what everybody already knows.
With that being said, what's your thoughts on John Morrison as a performer? And the same question I guess I can ask you, do you think he has what it takes to be a top guy in WWE one day?
I think he does because, you know, I know this kid. He's a kid that has some passion for the wrestling business. And, yes, he was a gymnast when he first got started in the business. And he came to OVW, and he was doing all the flips and flops and flying. And, you know, great athlete, but it didn't register. It wasn't believable. It wasn't real. And we toned him down, and we petted him and polished him up a little bit, and he became able to talk. And he upped his game in the ring, and now I think, you know, he's an example of a young guy. He's not that big, but he's tall, he's rangy, he's got the body, but he's a young guy that can bring a young, fresh outlook to professional wrestling. He can still get the job done in the ring, he looks good, he can talk, he's got a great personality. John Morrison, I think, is a top guy. Of course, I know that his name is a rib on the doors, but nevertheless, that's because of, you know, the people in the WWE that live in the 60s still. But nevertheless, he's taken it and he's made something out of it. And, where the Miz has taken it and irritated people with it.
Staying on this topic of WWE for 1 second, did you said you see little bits and pieces here and there, or if you read about it, what's your thoughts on the Nexus angle that they're doing currently as like their new top angle in WWE?
Well, of course, I saw the infamous tie choking incident, and then I've read about everything else. And really, after Danielson was gone, it took all the interest out of it for me. Because once again, you've got a bunch of green guys that are put in a position that they're trying to succeed in, but you had an experienced veteran out there that could go out and make things believable and make things real, and that's what he did, and they fired him for it. So I'm sure all of those guys from Florida now are going to be going, well, gosh, we better just stick to this hogwash Mickey Mouse cartoon bullshit they do instead of trying to make anything real and get over with the fans, or elsewise we're going to get fired too. So way to motivate the troops, WWE. Really appreciate that.
Are you being in Ring of Honor, are you ordering from the mouth right now for Bryan Danielson's 90-day non-complete clause then?
Well, once again, Bryan Danielson is an asset to any wrestling promotion. And I don't know what the situation is. I can't believe they're not going to be stupid enough, or they're going to be stupid enough not to bring him back. But of course, they may very well be, because if Vince McMahon and the WWE machine didn't create a wrestler, they resent them being popular. But I think that at the right time and the right place, obviously Bryan Danielson could be a huge asset to Ring of Honor. But we got to wait and see what happens. We don't just want a guest star. We want somebody that we can ride to the top of San Juan Hill.
Sure. And lastly, what is your thoughts on WWE's current angle they're doing with a mystery GM that emails his match thoughts and opinions on every week?
It's great because, I've always loved Ole, and I thought the Black Scorpion thing was wonderful. They really didn't finish it up in WCW, so now that they're doing it here, it's going to be fantastic. When Ole comes out there and punches Vince McMahon in the mouth and reveals he's the GM, that's, I forgot I wasn't supposed to tell everybody who it's going to be. Another way to utilize a new and fresh idea.
That's great. Jimmy.
Why do you ask me all these questions about WWE, Tommy? Nobody wants to hear about that. This is a commentary that talks about professional wrestling.
I can guarantee that a lot of the listeners out there love hearing your thoughts on stuff like that. So I get a lot of feedback when you talk about WWE stuff.
Oh, you get a lot of feedback, eh? I know. You're just wanting to stir stuff up, Tommy. I know you. But I tell you what, once again, Ring of Honor. Let's go back that direction.